Well, good afternoon, Las Vegas. We've been traveling far, and here we are. This is Clark coming to you live, Las Vegas, Nevada, with the herd. We are the herd. Does anyone know what the herd is? The herd are people that have gotten together through our program, and eventually, we hope, around the country, a movement from the grassroots on up. Because even if we're lucky enough to get Donald Trump elected as a leader from the top, we're going to need to come from the bottom also and get all our communities across this nation. We're going to have to wake up a lot of people, have them realize what the truth is, because we've been lied to now for decades by a despicable left-wing progressive party named the Democrat Party. A bunch of pathetic liars, cheaters, distortionists, every trick in the book they will do. They are absolutely the worst cancer on our free country that there possibly can be. They're worse than terrorists. Why do I say that? Because this Democrat administration we have right now is protecting the terrorists. Can you believe this? You can't call a Muslim a terrorist, even though every terrorist act that we've had has been perpetrated by a Muslim. Oh, we can't pigeonhole everybody as a we're not saying that. We're saying that all the terrorists thus far, the 19 that flew planes into buildings, the terrorist the other day in Orlando called himself ISIS, or mentioned the word ISIS on a phone call, and now you have all these liberal progressive idiots out there saying there was a hate crime against gays, and this, from what I hear, the guy was gay, so I don't know. I know this, that he had associations with leanings towards the terrorist group ISIS. His father came to this country as a refugee, fleeing Afghanistan for whatever reason, and he was a Taliban supporter. And this is a type of ideology that this guy, this Orlando shooter, grew up in. A father, probably, I don't hear much about a mother, but anyways, the father was here fleeing Afghanistan, and he supported the Taliban. So this son was raised with an ideology that reflected the terrorists. Simple as that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So let's dig our head out of the sand, you liberal progressive idiots. I don't think you're that much of idiots. I think that you have a plan to destroy this country, especially with the current leader of that White House. He is a despicable Muslim, is what he is. At least a Muslim backer, supporter. He won't call anybody what he is. He gets on TV the other night and starts spewing out from his lying lips that what difference does it make what you call it? That's a political talking point. That's a whatever the hell. And what he was describing was himself. The very reason why he doesn't mention that word is exactly what he said it was, because he has an agenda. And his agenda is to not call a spade a spade. Now, why is that? What is the problem with calling what's going on in this world exactly what it is? When he uses a word like ISIL, 99.9% and probably more of the people in this country don't refer to ISIS as ISIL. Only Obama administration and people that work for the Obama administration call it ISIL. Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, would call it ISIL, as John Kerry does now. as does every department head like Lynch and FBI and everybody on down the line. Everybody that's working out of Washington, D.C. is instructed to call ISIS ISIL, or I guess they'll be fired by, no one gets fired, but whatever, they'll be reassigned by Obama to some job they won't like. So you have to use the word ISIL. And then Obama's on the TV spewing out words don't make any difference. Then what the hell difference does it make when you call it ISIL? Grow up, you moron, idiot 2-year-old. I mean, this is the leader that we have is pathetic. He is exactly what he is, has come out. He is a community organizer, rebel rouser, and somehow he gets elected to be president of the United States not once but twice. We are the biggest fools, and that in and of itself is the biggest example I can make that shows you the trouble that we're in this country. Something has got to give way to reality and common sense. We need leadership in this country that knows how to run things, that knows how to make things happen, knows how to get the numbers right. We've been hearing for decades now, we need something like a businessman to run our country. And why not? Because the most best example of how to run a country is you run it the same way as a business, because technically we are a business. The government's not in the business of making a profit. They wouldn't know how if their life depended upon it. But they're in the business of running the country. You have a few organizations, departments, if you will, like the FAA, Food and Drug Administration, all that one's debatable. But the FBI, nationwide law enforcement, the military, and so forth to protect our country against enemies. So the government has to do some very important things. They have to maintain our national highway system. It's probably the best in the world, I would guess. And some things come out right because the government's the only entity that can pull things off like a nationwide highway system. Because no independent contractor would have enough relationships across the country to be able to pull that off. But the government with that domain and so forth can do that and be successful at it. Anyways, some things that the government does, like banning soft drinks or taxing soft drinks or allowing lawsuits over the fat content of your hamburger or whether you can have salt on the table at your restaurant or any of these other things is stupid. It's way, way, way government overreach. It's pathetic. It shows the quality of the leadership when they start getting distracted by these little nuances, you know. And then the other perfect example that's current is this shooting down in Orlando, where we know what it is. It was ISIS. The guy got on the phone calling various 911 numbers and so forth and said it was ISIS. He mentioned the word ISIS. And now you have this congressman, probably from New York or someplace. I didn't hardly pay any attention to him because the man's an idiot. He has a D next to his name. D means dumb. And anyways, he's saying that this wasn't an ISIS situation. This was guns. We have to get away the guns, the guns, the guns, the guns. You complete moron, you. You complete moron. Guns don't shoot people. People shoot people. You can have an A-15 lying on your counter. That's all you got is a gun lying on the counter till a terrorist picks it up, and then you got a killer. Then you have a killing machine, the terrorist. Without the terrorist, the gun means nothing. So let's wake up, okay? When you hear statements like this from a guy with a D next to his name, I don't even need to look at the screen to see what the guy is. I can tell by what's coming out of his mouth. He is a puppet for the Obama administration, for the Democratic Party, who's out to destroy this country, I believe. I think they have a lot of influence by George Soros, who's a despicable person. He's been under arrest in many countries. I think he's an international terrorist in his own right. Terrible, terrible money manipulator. This is what the Democrats lean towards, people like this. And the entire Obama administration is no good. The entire whole Democratic Party is no good. Look at the corruption that they profess. Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz, they call her, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, uh, comes out a month ago. Somebody asked her, what is the reason for these super delegates that we were hearing so much about? As Hillary would lose in a state, but she'd win delegates. And people were wondering, well, how do you do that math? How does Bernie win the state and Hillary gets more delegates? Well, the super delegates. All right, well, somebody asked Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz, what's a super delegate? And well, she explained it, being the moron she is. She doesn't see where anything's going because she can't see her nose in front of her face. At any rate, she spews out, well, the superdelegates were created to eliminate the possibility of some grassroots organization similar to like a Tea Party that takes over the Democrat Party and interferes with the election process and our nomination system. Only the Democrat National Committee can dictate who's going to be their nominee, not these pesky little voters or these pesky little things like the Tea Party that might pop up. So we came up with the super delegates to eliminate that chance of happening. Yeah, what she said, let me give you, that's code. Let me give you what it really is. It's a fix. It's a despicable DNC fix. That's what it is. DNC, Despicable National Committee. They are crooks. They steal the elections. They take the people of this country, who this country was founded for. They steal your people that you elect. They buy them with envelopes stuffed with cash from George Soros or wherever their money's coming from. And they buy your elected officials, taking away any input or any activity that elected person was going to do on behalf of his constituents. That goes away right off the bat. He's now working for the DNC, and he will march to their drumbeat, and they'll get their envelopes, and then they'll guarantee that they can be reelected without having to worry about those pesky little constituents of the people of this country. That's what this DNC is all about, and that's what they've done. And if you can't see that, folks, you've been brainwashed, and your mind is gone. And I don't know if you'll live long enough to get your sense back, but you need to try to concentrate on getting some common sense. What has this DNC done for you? If you're black, what has the 59 unemployment rate done for you? You have a black man in the White House, and he's made all these promises and so forth that he was going to give you a free this, a free that, all these wonderful things. He was going to part the Red Sea, all this crap, this lying crap that he read off of a teleprompter because someone wrote it for him. Sounds good. Hope and change. What the hell is hope and change? Can you tell me what a weak bull BS friggin' statement that? Hope and change. Let's make America great again. I can understand that. That has some substance to it. We are going to work and make America great again. That sounds good, and that is the truth of what this man Trump's trying to do. What does Obama do? Hope and change. Well, let's see. When he said that, at the time, we were still one of the most successful, if not the most successful countries in the world, the highest GNP, the highest standard of living. We have great natural resources. We had a decent economy till the Democrats got a hold of Congress and Senate and ruined it. They took over the power cords there, remember, in 2007 and 2008. And by 2009, when Obama got in there, we were in bad economic times because of the Democrats running Congress and the Senate for 2 years. That's what read. No one talks about that because the mainstream media is in on the scheme to control the people and to get them to vote D so that we can have more devastation in our land and not be productive. We need productivity back. We need the platform of what the conservative movement used to be about, was to make people productive, take care of themselves, learn how to do things. The old adage, you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for life. You give a man a fish, the Democrat approach, you feed him for one day, and then he needs you back the next day so he can eat, like food stamps, like all the welfare checks and everything else, free Obama phones. and what have you. That lady was going to get a free house from Obama. Well, how's he gonna give you a free house? I don't know, from his stash, I guess. This is the mentality of those D voters. Yeah, and if you call yourself one of them, you're stupid, okay? I'll just tell you right out, you're stupid. If you don't agree with me, give me a call and tell me I'm stupid, okay? You're welcome to do that. 702-493-5222. We're the Herd, this radio show, we want to be heard. And I'd like anyone to call and be heard anytime, whatever they want to say. Doesn't bother me, we'll have a discussion about it. I'm not saying I'm gonna change your mind, because that's pretty much impossible. If you're one of these people that bow at the mantle of Obama, we're not gonna change your mind, because your mind, in my opinion, is already gone. But at least you can pick up the phone and tell us what you think, and we'll see what it is you have to say. And people can make up their own mind, if your mind's there or if it's not there. Let them decide. But we have a country, and we need to keep this country, because all these idiots, oh, if he gets elected, I'm fleeing the country, I'm going here. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And this still is the best country in the world. Where are you going to go? Are you going to go down there to Venezuela, where you can't wipe your ass anymore because they don't even have toilet paper? And that country was oil rich. Under Chavez, they had all this wealth. And Chavez's sister, I think, is the wealthiest person in the country. Now, what does that tell you? In these type of utopian environments where they're going to just let everybody live off the fat of the land, so to speak, and everything will be just wonderful, and all this stuff. Yeah, well, what happened? They had a lot of stuff. They had oil. The country had a lot of valuable resources that they could give their people a better life, but that's not what happened to it. The leaders gave themselves a better life. And that's why the richest person down there is the sister of Chavez. Wake up, people. Just look at what's going on. Of course, I think they're beginning to riot down there in Venezuela, so something's going to change. The leadership's going to lose their head like the King of France did on that revolution over there. These kings, anybody with power is going to go too far, because they're going to fall off the cliff. If they don't know how to use power for the betterment of your people, you're going to go off the cliff. And then the people are going to rise up, and they're going to take care of you and get rid of you and get someone in there who can do a better job. So, what I was saying, give me a call, 702-493-5222. Give me a call. Let me know what you think of our solutions. One of the main solutions that we've been keeping track of here is get rid of the political parties. They're corrupt organizations. They're no good for the voters, the people of this country, because they take your votes for a candidate, and then they rob your candidate. They buy your candidate right out from underneath you, and now your elected officials go working for the committee. They're not working for the people that put them in office anymore. Now, if the people paying attention, they'll see what happened, and they'll vote this person out the next time. But if he's a company player, the company's going to try to support him, give him money so he gets reelected, and he's going to have enough funds behind him with the TV ads and all these ads. He can go before everybody and lie, promise Santa Claus goods, and then maybe get reelected, and then the lies continue. And then you end up with a guy like Harry Reid, that's been a public official for 36 something years, making himself rich, living in Washington, D.C. in the Ritz-Carlton, in a suite over there. I mean, what does that cost, Harry? Just $100,000, $200,000 a year, public servant, as you call it, baloney. You're a public extortionist is what you are. You extort money from the people through your special interest groups, and then you put it in your pocket, in Rory's pocket. You cut deals with the communist Chinese to come into Nevada and seize up whatever land you can help steal, and then you put Bundy in jail. I mean, you're a despicable operative of the DNC, and you need to go. And I guess you are going to go, but you think you're going to stick around with all your strings and everybody controlling your replacements. You think you're going to put Maestro in as a senator, and Cohen and others as Congress and this and that. Well, good luck. I think we sent a message to some of your people in the last election, or the last three elections, the nomination process here in Nevada. I think the entrenchment of the Democratic Party got a little shooken up, and they're going to get more shaken up in November. And hopefully, uh, we'll get some real Republicans in power positions in the Nevada legislature, and then we can do away with the Sandoval largest tax increase in history, and we can get some good things going in Nevada to help the state of Nevada. We can't have liberals running anything because they ruin everything they touch. They don't know how to run anything. They know how to community organize, which is nothing more than a rebel rouser. So they know how to make turmoil and make things go sideways so they can come riding in their white horse with a claim that they're going to fix everything. Well, they don't fix anything. They just cause more trouble and more trouble. They never want to fix anything because that would take something away that they can promote. These people are a joke. Nancy Pelosi, come on, give me a break. You know, we have to pass a bill to find out what's in it, and she was at the time the head of the Congress. You got to be kidding me. Not that Paul Ryan's a lot better because he's exposing his true colors. You know, we get rid of Boehner, we have high hopes. Maybe we'll get someone in there now that's not a crybaby or just a rubber stamp for Obama. And what do we get? We get a rubber stamp for Obama. It's amazing how these people think that they can control the branch, the conservative branch, Republicans, if you will, and lie to the people. And when they're elected, they don't do what they told the people they were going to do. How many times are they going to be able to pull that off before we pull the plug on them? Well, I think this time around, maybe enough people are waking up. It seems that the turnout has increased pretty dramatically. I think that can be attributed a lot to Donald Trump. And, you know, the entrenched establishment hates Donald Trump because he's not controlled by them. So they're always going to not like this. So we have to go back to our solutions that this show is all about, the herd. We want to be HEARD with our ears. We want to be heard. We want to be able to attract enough followers and so forth that want to be heard. They can give us their ideas. We'll keep track of them, and the number one, and you know, the high-rated ideas that we get established here at this show, we're going to make sure that the people running for office know what those ideas and solutions are, and we're going to get the word out, and we're going to support the people that support our ideas, because these are the people. And the main idea, far, far ahead of all the others, once people understand what we're really talking about. At first, most people are going, oh, you can't get rid of the parties. And then you ask them, why not? What do they do for you? And then they're stuck. They absolutely just a blank face. And then after they think about it for a while, everybody that I've had a discussion with over the last year about getting rid of the parties, at first some of them were very much thinking I was crazy, to tell you the truth. And I saw a couple of instances, but all of those instances now, the people have come around and support me 100%. Now they understand. What do the parties do? You end up with a Debbie Wasserman Schultz and a Paul Ryan and people like this that are not on board to the betterment of this country. We need real leadership. We need to run this country like a business. Donald Trump is a businessman. We've been saying for decades, we need someone like that to run as president. Now, the problem with that idea has been over the years that no businessman in their right mind would ever go to work for a company, let's say, that was run like this country was. Who would go to work? Most big, good chairman of the board types, executive offices, chief executive offices, when they're shopping around for a job, one of the criteria I know they put on the board is that they want to have a free reign to run the company they want to run it. And they want to be given their opportunity. Maybe they get a contract, maybe whatever. Maybe for 5 years, they're going to have a contract and they're going to get to run the country. They're the boss. They're the ones that say what goes. They'll listen to the department heads and so forth. If the chief executive officer is worth his weight, he'll listen to people. He'll take others' ideas. They'll muddle them around in his head, and then he'll make a decision. And when he makes a decision, his decision goes. No chief executive is going to go to work for a company where everything that he does is second guessed by everybody else in the company, and maybe the boss, maybe there's an owner that hired him, maybe it was a stockholders, maybe it was a board of directors. But the companies, they do have to answer to whoever they are working for. But if they're good at their jobs, they're going to allow the chief executive officer an opportunity to put forth his plan, make his decisions after weighing in on whatever the situation is, and they're going to decide. That's a leader, somebody that takes the stand. We're going to do it this way, and then he has to be accountable for the results. If his plan works, the company does well, product is doing good, revenue may be up, profitability goes up, expenses goes down. In other words, you run the business like a business. You look at numbers. It's just like you take a blood test. Your body's run by numbers. A good doctor will look at those particular results and say, you need some of this, you need some of that, and by giving you whatever you need, you can straighten yourself out and fly right for a little while longer. I envision the day when everybody has a house or whatever, and when you get up in the morning, you stick your finger in this slot, and it automatically takes all your vital signals and does some tests for you, and then they'll dispense down below exactly what you need for that day to fix whatever's in your body, whatever you need for nutrients. There it is in that little cup that came down below. You take that and you're good to go for the day. That's what I envision. And I bet you someday that's be the way it's done. If we can get some good common sense leadership and get the money out of the game, the health game, and get the right products promoted that'll save lives instead of having interference with the government and special interest groups that don't want that. Like I believe that maybe we know a little bit more about curing cancer than we're admitting, but there's a lot of money involved in the cancer game. Billions, maybe trillions of dollars. And the people that are partaking in that gravy train don't want a cure for cancer. And I would say that there's something to be said for that. You have to follow the money. And we have to get this country run back to my other thought here. We have to get a businessman that runs this country like a business. Now we have the opportunity to get a Donald Trump, which is a businessman. He's exactly the mold that we've been talking about getting, but we never envisioned, or I never did, of being able to get somebody as strong as Donald Trump. This man has the wherewithal. He's created billions of dollars in companies. He owns some of the best assets in the world, and he really doesn't need to depend upon the normal politician's avenue for power is the press. Donald Trump doesn't need the press. Matter of fact, he calls them names openly. He doesn't need the parties. He's running as a Republican, which I think was smart. That's the party that most equated to his ideas, believe it or not. And he's a conservative. And that's all there is to that. So he picked that, and then he devastated 16 or 17, whatever the real number was. He devastated them in the nomination process because that was the strongest group of candidates I think any party's ever produced. He just eliminated them one after another, gonzo. They take on Donald Trump and they go down in flames fast. Well, and who did the Democrats put up? They, for whatever reason, and I can't figure it out other than it's some kind of corrupted, knows where the bodies are buried, some kind of despicable influence the Clinton Crime Foundation has on maybe Obama himself, maybe some other people in the government. She knows where the bodies are buried, so to speak, probably because she's been responsible for a lot of them. But she's probably had some help, and she probably has proof and so forth that she could hang just about anybody. And if when they come after her to hang her, we'll see who has the best goods because they'll probably end up dead. Clintons, they have like 80 bodies that have conveniently become bodies instead of living human beings that could testify or come forth with some knowledge or whatever that would be damage to the Clintons. They end up dead. How convenient. Convenience of death. But this is a Hillary Clinton. This is the Clintons. This is the administration that we got back in the 80s with Bill Clinton or 90s. The devastation, the gates, the this gate, the that gate, uh, everything was coming at a fast pace. You had Vince Foster, which was, I guess, Hillary Clinton's boyfriend from the Rose Law Firm, followed her to Washington, D.C., and was her lawyer, in house lawyer there at the Washington, D.C. And he ended up having a few problems with all these gates and this and that and all the fires that he had to put out. And he was getting close to having to make a decision. And all of a sudden, he ends up dead in a park somewhere with 2 bullet holes in his head and no bullets. You know, this is the type of stuff that follows around the Clintons. So one has to wonder, a common sense individual wouldn't believe in Hillary Clinton for 2 seconds. And the DNC, Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz, had to come up with a plan of how they could make this anointed one, the one that they had just put up there as their candidate for, because she knew where the bodies was, I guess. But she was the most despicable, is the most despicable, baggaged up candidate that's ever run for president. And just absolutely crazy. But she knows something. So now the power elite, the people with common sense that analyze these situations from a truthful standpoint, here's what we know. Clinton and Obamas don't get along well. They never have. They hate each other. Hillary, because Barack came out of the woodwork and beat her in '08, she's never gotten over that. And so she's been grooming herself for this job as to be the first woman president since old Billy Boy got caught with his pants down in the White House, got impeached. And this is somebody that we want to have a return to the Clinton days in the White House. You've got to be kidding me. You just have to be kidding me. Despicable, despicable people. They were caught when they moved out of the White House, taking the china and the silverware and things of that nature, taking all the W's off the keyboard or things of this nature. These are vicious, despicable, non-classy, just terrible, terrible people. And they got caught and they had to bring all that stuff back. Here you are, the ex-president of the United States caught stealing stuff from the White House. And well, let's put them back in the White House. You think Hillary's going to be any better? She'll be worse. And she'll have Bill next to her yelling, flapping his gums on what to do and how to do this and that. And it's just, I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine a Hillary Clinton presidency. Here we are coming out of 7.5 years. We'll be 8 by the time we get out from underneath this mess we created by having the first black president. He was going to do away with the race in this country. Oh, he's going to make it so much better. Well, it's so much worse now. It's just terrible. The race relations in this country is at an all-time low, and it's because of this president. Everything, every policy, everything he's done is backwards. And race, every time someone disagrees with anything Obama says, it's not his policies, of course, it's because they're a racist. They've been against him from day one. Rush Limbaugh, I hope he fails. Well, he wasn't saying that because the guy was black. No, he's saying that because he knows liberals and he knows the policies that this guy was going to implement would be terrible for the country. And lo and behold, guess what? He was exactly right. They've been decimating to this country. And this is what this guy has done. He is a Muslim sympathizer, and it's worse than that. He's an Islamic terrorist sympathizer. Uh, and then Hillary Clinton is running around as Secretary of State, taking money from foreign governments that are in negotiations with the United States over trade or whatever arms may be, whatever they're in negotiations with, is Hillary Clinton taking money, maybe through her husband, the ex-president, for influence, and they became like lobbyists. And she's the Secretary of State? You gotta be kidding me. And then they're out there raising money after she gets out of that position, and they're selling favors for when she's gonna be president. These people, they were selling the Lincoln bedroom. Remember that Lincoln Gate? Well, if they get back in the White House, they're gonna have to put cots in that room, is my prediction, because they're gonna be selling so much stuff left and right. They were selling seats on Brown's airplane that crashed. He was a business commerce of business, whatever, promoter of investing in the United States, and they were selling influence on his plane to go over and negotiate deals with foreign governments, buying, again, public officials of the United States. This is unheard of. If you tried to negotiate deals like that as a private business, you would be thrown in jail. And is Hillary Clinton above that? She can't be thrown in jail. You have Lynch on TV the other day, all the Sunday shows spewing in her mouth about we got to get the guns, the guns, the guns. The Orlando shooting was because of guns. I mean, this is how administrated up this supposedly not partisan attorney general or head of the Department of Justice is supposed to be, and she's just a tool, a puppet of the Obama administration agenda. You can't tell that by their talk the other day that was all rehearsed and all scripted for her by Obama. Just pathetic. You know, every time there's a shooting, it's always the guns' fault. We got to get the guns. We got to get the guns. You know why that is? Is because they're afraid of the people having the guns, because when the stuff hits the fan, the government's going to be in trouble and our leaders are going to be in trouble because we, the people, are going to go after them. And that's why they want our guns. And if they fail through eliminating the Second Amendment like Hillary wants to do, they're going to have bought up all the bullets. I think we have Social Security buying billions of dollars worth of bullets. Here they're supposed to be broke, going to have trouble in several years paying out the Social Security checks, and they're buying up bullets. Maybe that's an investment. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I shouldn't take it so negatively. But there's some reason why Social Security is buying up bullets. If it was a military or something like that, you go, okay, well, they need bullets to defend us. But why would the Social Security need bullets? It's not to defend us, that's for sure. It's to shoot us. And we have to be careful. We have to have a leader that runs the country like a businessman. And the way we'll do that is we look at the numbers. We give him the rope. We don't want to interfere with him. We also would probably, a smart thing, if we eliminate the parties, now we get a true nonpartisan leader in the White House. Well, we need to follow suit and get a nonpartisan Congress and a nonpartisan Senate if we keep both. I propose, one of my solutions is you eliminate the Congress and the Senate. Oh, that'll never happen. Yeah, well, probably not. Why? The only reason why is because the Congress and the Senate would have to pass something to eliminate themselves. Well, that's never going to happen. So we, the people, have the power. We need to eliminate the Congress and the Senate by not voting anybody in. Vote none of the above, and then eliminate those two bodies of government. Our founding fathers created them because if they thought this was a good idea, where you could have checks and balances. Where they came from in Europe, they had mostly kings. They were like tyrants in a way. They would rule with an iron fist, but they weren't second guessed by some other body in the country like a Congress or a Senate. Well, our forefathers wanted to eliminate that. They wanted to create a strong government with a strong chance of success. So they put in these checks and balances, they call them. Three branches of government where one checks the other and so forth. And that's a great idea. It looks real good on paper. But the problem is you're dealing with people. And people are people, and they're going to be distorted, and they're going to get out of focus. and you're going to end up with what we've ended up with, and that's a gigantic mess of an inoperable body such as Congress, where they got 400 something members. How the hell are you ever going to have 400 something members agree to anything? And every vote that they take, if you notice, goes along property lines, or party lines, I should say. They flip a coin, whoever party's going to take one side or the other. Whichever party's in the majority, they take this side. Well, that has a good chance of passing because the majority is going to vote in lockstep, and the minority is just not going to be able to pull off enough votes to stop it. And that's the partisan fight that we're always in. If you're running a company like that, where you have half the country for and half of your company against, you're going to fall flat on your face because you're not going to make it. You're going to go broke because you can't have half your people fighting with the other half trying to get ahead, because all you're going to do is fall behind. So we have to run the country like a government. I mean, not like a government, like a company. So you have a Donald Trump in charge. We do away with the Senate, we do away with the Congress, and we have one elected official from every state. That would be 50, let's call them like a board of directors or whatever, that'll sit in Washington, D.C., and they'll make recommendations to the president on ideas, kind of like, if you want to support something that passes a law, or you want to do away with laws, whatever your ideas are, you run them by the president. And as an individual from, let's say, Nevada, you're the only Harry Reid from Nevada. I don't want to distract from the conversation by using that despicable name, but you're the new Harry Reid, let's say, and you go to Washington, D.C. to advise the president on what you think is good for your state on a nonpartisan basis. You weren't elected as a Democrat or a Republican or any of the other parties. You were elected because the people of your state elected you. And your job is to be in communication with the president and get your state's ideas on the table. And that's it. And as we are involved with other countries or negotiations on treaties and trade wars or what have you, then you get your input on that also. But when the push comes to shove, at the end of the day, you have a leader there, let's call him the president for lack of a better word at the moment, and he makes the final decision. And it's not up to a vote of the committee. It's up to however the president wants to do it. If he wants to take a vote and find out which way the committees really line up, then so be it. That's up to him. It's his reputation, it's his numbers, and he's the one that's going to have to answer for whether the thing works or doesn't work. And this is the way we'll run the country. We'll know what the numbers are. The unemployment rate, the GNP, the percentage of debt, and all this stuff is a number, just like a blood test. And we'll know the health of our economy by what the numbers are. And then we either re-elect that person or we get someone else to run on a nonpartisan basis and throw his ideas out there, and may the best person win, whoever we think has the best ideas, just like we were trying to select a leader for our company. We're in the market for a CEO, and we go to headhunters or whatever. We go to the people of the country. We try to find somebody that would be willing and able to run the country. And we put his name in a hat. We'll see what happens. If he gets elected, then we're going to promise him that for the first 4 years, he's going to have a full run. It's going to be his choice of what's done, his final decision, and he's not going to have any interference from a partisan up body fighting him every step of the way just because they're on the other side of the aisle. We have to get rid of that. We have to make instantaneous, quick decisions. Hopefully they'll be the right decisions. But if you think about it, the last 7.5 years, all the decisions that have been made have been the wrong decisions, 180 degrees in the wrong direction. So we have to correct that. We have to get a businessman in there that he knows that his reputation, his legacy will be on the numbers. And if he can make this country great again, then he'll go down in history as a good president. And that's what most of them would want. Jimmy Carter sends a thank you note to the White House every day, to Obama because Jimmy Carter used to be considered the worst president ever. And now here comes Barack Obama. Well, when Barack Obama goes and they think here comes Hillary, I mean, I'm sure Obama will be sending her a postcard every day because there's nobody, possibly even as bad as Obama was, there is nobody that could ever be worse than Hillary Clinton's going to be. And we know this. This is not anything I don't know. I think I have common sense. I've been accused of it anyways. But, there's just things that are so obvious to an intelligent person that can think for themselves and not have to be told whether their mashed potatoes are good or not. They can make up their own mind. Well, there's some very fundamental things we can do to straighten out this country. Get rid of the parties. Get a Donald Trump type leader in there, a businessman. Give him the latitude to make the decisions to run this country. And let's see how the numbers work out. At the end of 4 years, we'll see where we sit. Are we better off then than we were when that man came into office? If we are, we might want to consider to keep him if he's going to run for re-election. It's always going to be up to him, but if he wants to run and he's done a good job and the numbers support that, then we need to re-elect him. And unopposed, by the way. Because we have no parties anymore, remember? So we don't have this infighting going on continuously, where somebody could say, "Oh, free ice cream in the summer," and the other side says, "No way, we need hot tea in the summer." I mean, it's just they're always going to be in the opposite side of every single thing that's proposed, and that makes for failure. So we have to get this country on the right tracks, going in the right direction. We need to do it from the top down with a Donald Trump, with a leader like him, and in the meantime, make ourselves a promise that we're going to go from the bottom up. We're going to go across this nation, community after community. This won't be hard. We have communication now. We have everyone in every other state could use this radio station. If they have a meeting locally, let's say in Des Moines or Tampa or wherever they are, if they want to call in as their meeting's going on, we can put them on the air and we can broadcast that all over the country, online, and all over the world, online. And then we have communication so we know what's going on. We can develop a grassroots movement that would be huge. And once that's created, the people that are going against that movement, they're going to start calling us racist and this and that. But when you are the people and the people are being heard, how do they call the people any names? It's not going to stick because there's no one person that's going to lead this show. This is going to be a movement of grassroots people. This will be the people and will be heard. And we're not Joe Blow or Tom this or Dick that. No, we are a movement. And you can't slander a movement. And you can't get to a movement. You can't control them with money or this or that because we're exempt from that. We are a movement, and we're a movement is to make this country great and keep it great. And that's my utopia anyways. And it's not a utopian idea where people don't have to do anything. Quite the contrary. We're going to get the government out of the business of regulating everybody to death. And we're going to get an open system going here to where entrepreneurs can develop products, come up with a better mousetrap, and have a chance of getting their inventions accepted and do well. We need to return that possibility to our young people coming up to where they have a reason to get educated and a reason to pay attention, a reason to look at history. That helps them come up with new ideas for the future. You can see the mistakes that have been made in the past and don't repeat them because only a fool thinks that doing the same thing over and over again is going to come out with a different result. It's not. The 99.9999 out to infinity is going to come out the same way. If something's failed once, it'll fail again. And barring any real major change in the numbers or what have you. But anyways, we need to run this country by the numbers. We have to grade, if you will, the performance of our leaders by how well things are going. And the utopian aspect of everything gets a free ride. No. We have to work hard, and we have to work hard to keep this great country. So we need to pay attention. We need to know what the numbers are. We need to analyze them and know what they mean. And then we need to base our votes, if you will, on the conclusion of what those results show. And if you're better off today than you were when the current leader was elected, you can re-elect them. And I think you should re-elect them. If you have a dismal failure like in Obama, I mean, I want to impeach the guy today because I'm not too sure we're going to make it till January with the way this guy is feverishly going around. Now today he's lecturing us about keeping the parks or promoting parks, or, whatever he does, he has to fly somewhere every day on Air Force One because he's an elitist now, and he flies in a community and ties up the entire, the whole city, stops traffic, stops air traffic control, stops everything. Like when he flies in here to Nevada and Las Vegas, the canyon tourists can't take off in those helicopters because of the president. What the hell? I mean, he cost that company thousands and thousands of dollars, puts people out of work. I mean, what a loser this guy is. I can't stand it. Anyways, call into the show sometimes, 493-5222. Give us your ideas. Give us your solutions. That's what we need. And I think we've come up with some good solutions here. Very few people argue with me anymore about getting rid of the parties. At first they did, now they don't. They can understand it now. The parties are the problem. Not having a leader in the country that is basically has the rope to where he can put in his policy, he can implement them, and then we can see how they work and not have interference. Because right now, the way the conditions are, nobody, I don't think, could run this country. Nobody other than a Trump. Trump is so oblivious to anybody trying to attack him that he just takes them out right away. And that's the way it should be. And I think he can pull it off. But I think when he does, he's going to show a clear road to anyone that comes behind him. This is what you need to do. You need to communicate with the American people. You need to tell them what you're going to do, show them how you're going to do it. And then the bottom line is you're going to have to have done it. If they elect you, you're going to have to produce and do it. Otherwise, you're gone. And we can't have the military in the control of the president because that's ridiculous. Look what we got now. We got Barack Obama, a community organizer, rebel rouser from Chicago, the leader of our military, and our military has taken it on the chin. They've been devastated. We have airplanes that won't fly. We're going around at junkyards, getting a part here and a part there, trying to keep our planes in the air. And then we have new planes on order that the generals and the Air Force and whatnot tell us these planes won't fly because some congressman or senator determined what plane would be built by what the manufacturer told the senator to say. At the same time, when they gave the senator a big fat envelope and bought his influence, and that's the reason that the company got to build these planes that won't even fly because the generals didn't show them what they needed in the field to make them work. So they just built anything, and probably the most profitable things are put in that airplane for the company making them. But these profitable things don't have any wherewithal in combat or in usage that'll be productive. But that's okay because the senator got a big re-election campaign contribution, and the company got to pay their employees and make billions of dollars. And it doesn't matter if the plane doesn't fly or not. I mean, how stupid can we be? So we have to have an organization as well as how to function this government. We need a leader, someone that can get the ropes to do it without interference. We need to elect a committee, maybe 50 members representing the states, one at a time. And then we need to eliminate the Congress and the Senate. We need to seriously look at the Supreme Court, and we need to make decisions there. I don't think that particular body is enough. I think we need, maybe several Supreme Courts, or enlarge the Supreme Court where at least 9 justices are meeting at a particular time on any one given subject. But out of the however many 8,000 cases they get a year, instead of only taking 80, we need to take most of the cases. And we just need a larger more in-depth structure to be able to do that. But we need to do it because that's what needs to be done. We need to straighten out our judiciary, straighten out our Congress and our Senate, straighten out the way this government works, and we can be around for another day. If we don't do that, our days are numbered. We're going to have to do some really, really serious uh, amputation like the French had to do or something. Because if this comes to a revolution in this day and age, with what we have available, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. And then the big question I've always had is what will the military do if it comes down to the point where the military has to turn the guns on American citizens or not? Are they going to do it? That's the big question. We're the people. This country's for us, and they better not do it.